The door slides open before dawn. No one speaks. A woman kneels on the cold floor, her hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed on the middle distance. Outside, snow falls without sound. A brazier glows in the corner. The smell of charcoal and cedar fills the room. Somewhere in the house, a child breathes in sleep. And down the hallway, in a room sealed from the rest of the world, a man prepares himself for death. This is not a battlefield. This is a home. And yet, inside this house, life and death exist in the same breath. It is the year 1600, and Japan stands at the edge of transformation. For 2 centuries, the country had torn itself apart in civil war, warlords rising and falling, provinces burning, alliances made and broken in the time it takes a sword to clear its scabbard. But something has begun to change. Power is consolidating. The age of chaos is drawing to a close, and in its place, a new order is taking shape. The samurai house, the byuku, the warrior household, is not simply a family home. It is a world unto itself. It is a fortress of discipline, a temple of loyalty, a school of the self. To be born into one is to be shaped from infancy by its rhythms, its codes, its silences. Every object in the house has a purpose. Every gesture carries weight. Every morning is a rehearsal for dying well. We tend to imagine feudal Japan as a place of constant darkness, a land of eternal war and suffering. But that picture is incomplete. By 1600, even amid the uncertainty, the samurai class had cultivated something remarkable. Ceremony. Philosophy. The tea house had become a place of radical stillness. Zen monasteries produced poets and painters. The sword was not merely a weapon, it was a reflection of the soul. The samurai household at the turn of the 17th century was, in many ways, at the height of its cultural expression. The chaos of the Sengoku period, the age of warring states, had forged something hard and beautiful. And the people living inside these walls were not brutes. They were scholars, lovers, parents, gardeners. They were also warriors. That was the contradiction they lived inside every single day. Step inside. The house is built low to the ground, timber and clay, its rooms divided by sliding screens of paper and wood. There are no chairs. People kneel, sit, sleep on mats that can be rolled away. The house breathes differently in winter than in summer, screens open to the garden in the heat, closed tight against snow. The garden is not decoration. It is instruction. The arrangement of stone and moss and water teaches patience, teaches impermanence. The household is divided not just by rooms but by rank. The master of the house occupies a different sphere from his servants, his wife, his children. His quarters are sparse. A sword stand, a small altar, a scroll hanging on the wall, perhaps a line of calligraphy, the work of a monk or a general or the samurai himself. Every surface speaks. Nothing is accidental. Before the rest of the house stirs, the samurai rises. His morning is a ritual, a sequence of actions performed with the same care as a ceremony. He washes. He prays at the small altar in his room, lighting incense, placing his hands together. He dresses slowly, each layer of clothing folded and tied with precision. The swords, the daisho, the long blade and the short, are placed at his side. Not as decoration, as identity. The concept that governs this world is Bushido, the way of the warrior. But in 1600, it is not yet a codified philosophy. It is simply lived. It is the texture of every day, the awareness that death is close, that honor must be protected, that one's conduct reflects not only on oneself but on one's lord, one's family, one's ancestors. Every action carries this weight. Even eating, even sleeping. The picture is incomplete without her. The samurai's wife, the okuzan, literally, the person of the interior, runs the household with a precision that rivals any military campaign. She manages the servants, the finances, the children's education. She is the fixed center around which everything else rotates. Her life is disciplined in its own way. She, too, is trained, not with a sword, though some women of the warrior class study the naginata, the curved polearm, for defense, but in the management of the house, in calligraphy, in the arts of domestic grace. She carries a small blade tucked into her obi, not for battle, but for the final act of honor should her home ever fall to an enemy. She is not a prisoner. She is a guardian. Children in a samurai household do not play the way other children play. They play at war. They practice archery before they are tall enough to draw the bow. They are told stories of warriors who died without flinching, who gave their lives for their lord without hesitation. These are not cautionary tales. They are the compass by which a samurai childhood is oriented. The eldest son will inherit the name, the stipend, the duty. He is watched from birth. His posture, his temper, his composure under pressure. The younger sons face a different fate, perhaps service, perhaps the monastery, perhaps adoption into another household. Daughters will marry strategically, their lives and loyalties transferred like sealed letters to another house. The samurai house does not exist in isolation. Outside its gate, a world churns with activity. Japan in 1600 is a country of extraordinary energy, cities growing, trade routes expanding, a merchant class rising in wealth even as the warrior class holds all official authority. The city of Edo is beginning to grow into something vast. Osaka is already a commercial giant. Kyoto remains the cultural heart. The samurai moves through this world with particular awareness. He is both its protector and its law. His presence on the road commands deference. And yet he is also dependent on the rice tax, on the labor of farmers, on the commerce of merchants he publicly disdains. The hierarchy is enforced, but it rests on a foundation more fragile than it appears. But something is shifting. The year 1600 is not calm, it is the eye of a storm. Japan is moving toward the Battle of Sekigahara, a single day in October that will reshape the entire country. Two great coalitions of samurai are gathering. The question of who will rule will determine not just the fate of armies but the fate of every samurai household in the country. In the houses of warriors whose lords are choosing sides, a terrible uncertainty descends. Alliances formed over generations are being tested. Fathers and sons sit across from each other in those spare, beautiful rooms, speaking in careful language about duty and loyalty, knowing that the wrong choice may end the family line entirely. The garden is still. The incense still burns. But underneath the silence, everything trembles. Sekigahara comes and goes in a matter of hours. Tokugawa Ieyasu wins. The Western coalition collapses. And across Japan, in hundreds of samurai houses, the consequences unfold. Lords who chose the wrong side lose their lands, their stipends, their names. Their retainers become masterless, ronin, men adrift, warriors without purpose or pay. The household that had been the center of a world dissolves. Servants scatter. The wife packs what can be packed. Children are sent to relatives. The man who had knelt before the altar every morning, who had maintained his composure through every hour of every day, now stands in an empty house and faces a future with no shape. This is the hidden tragedy of the samurai code. It was magnificent when the world held together. When it fell apart, it offered no map. Not every samurai house fell. The victors prospered. The Tokugawa period that followed Sekigahara brought 2.5 centuries of relative peace. The Edo period, an era of extraordinary cultural flowering. Kabuki theater, haiku poetry, woodblock prints, martial arts refined into art forms. All of this grew in the soil that samurai culture had prepared. But peace also transformed the warrior. The samurai of the Edo period was increasingly a bureaucrat, an administrator, a man of letters. The sword he carried was rarely drawn. The house remained, the rituals, the silences, the discipline, but the world outside the gate had changed so completely that the old meaning had to be reinvented. We stand outside that gate now, centuries later, and look in. What do we see? A way of life built on the absolute acceptance of impermanence. A culture that turned discipline into beauty. A society that placed duty above self so completely that the self, paradoxically, became more defined, not less. And perhaps we recognize something. The samurai house was not so different from any household shaped by a code it did not choose, by the expectations of class, or culture, or family, or faith. The walls may be different. The silences may hold different things. But the question is the same. What do we owe to those who came before us, and what do we pass on to those who come after? The snow still falls. The door slides open. Someone is always kneeling in the cold, finding a way to begin again. Here at Life Inside Ancient Worlds, we believe that the past is not behind us. It is underneath us. Every house ever built, every fire ever lit, every family ever seated together against the cold, all of it is still present, still speaking, if we know how to listen. If this world spoke to you, stay with us. There are more doors to open, more thresholds to cross. The ancient world is waiting.